Okay, I think we are live now. Hello, everyone. Very good evening, good morning. I'm Sunil Kumar Das and welcoming you all to the SUNIL show. On this podcast, we dive into the exciting world of IT project management, from discussing project management, product development, and business analysis to exploring the latest trending technologies. We cover it all. Whether you are a professional or just starting out in the tech industry, this podcast is your go-to resource for practical insights, expertise, and engaging discussions. Subscribe us on the YouTube channel and join us in today's show, the Sunil Show, for valuable knowledge and inspiration to propel your career forward. Today, I'm excited to welcome our guest Sky to the show. Sky, it's great pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Hey, everyone.
Sounds good. Okay, so, Sky, just before we dive into the topic, could you please introduce yourself and say something about yourself to our audience?
Yeah, of course. So again, hey, everyone. My name is Sky. I'm a project manager. I've been managing people and projects for about 15 years in a wide variety of industries. I started off in social work. And then I moved into, I started off in customer service, and then I moved into social work, and then I moved into the education space. And most recently, I was on website and software development and implementation projects.
What a brilliant transition.
I know.
Now, got it. So, just upon when we discuss about transitioning career from a very non-technical to technical, again a functional role. So, what was your experience when you were into the non-technical field and you moved into technical, then a functional role, right? Managing people and processes. So, what's your experience there?
Yeah, I actually, I don't know if anyone's been on my LinkedIn profile in the last couple of weeks, but I'm recently open to work. And as I've moved through interview processes with several different companies, I've actually leveraged that. I'm glad that I did things in in the order that I did them, because as a functional PM, it really allows you the opportunity, if you seek this, if you're someone that naturally analyzes the business, which I am. So in all of my functional roles, I've analyzed business need. I've pitched ideas, right? There's a gap here. I think we could do this to make it better. So I've interacted with executives and C-suite and really pitched ideas to improve processes. And then I just took the wheel, I moved through the process and managed the implementation. So um, if you're starting off on more of a functional side, it's a great opportunity to analyze the business, to actually create impactful processes. And it really teaches you to fine tune those soft skills, which are going to propel you in more of a technical role. So I use that to leverage in interviews to say, hey, I'm really great at these soft skills. I've, in the last couple of years, been working on the technical skills. So you're kind of getting a unicorn.
Correct. See, when you say getting on this functional role, but certainly there are some technicalities involved here, right? Now, when you are into business analysis role and you are analyzing a particular business, probably it would be a startup or it's existing in the world, you know. But there are some technicalities involved, right? So, being an entry level role or somebody is getting into this one, how would you suggest? Like, what would you suggest? What should be the strategies? What set of skills that somebody has to learn or possess those skills?
In order to move into more of a technical role?
A functional role.
Oh, a functional role. Yeah, yeah. For me, it's really about the soft skills. I think there are a couple of technical pieces that are important when you're in a functional role, right? I really believe in using data to drive decisions. So, for example, when I was in my social work role, in nonprofits, there's not a ton of money, right? Everything is kind of grant or federally funded. And so everything, you have to operate more lean, which means you have to be really smart and strategic about your decisions. So learning how to use data in order to make decisions, I think, is really important. So making sure that you're able to communicate effectively with everyone at that agency, regardless of their communication style, and really making sure that you understand what the data is saying. So you're using your energy and your time wisely and strategically. If you have gaps, I recommend doing a skills gap analysis, and I can go into that a little bit more. But identify where your gaps are and then fill them, because it's really, even in a functional role, it's twofold. You have to have the soft skills and, a bit of those technical skills as well.
Correct. And when you say, analyzing the gaps, this is the doing performing a skill gap analysis, right? So, what sort of some easy uh, techniques you would suggest to the audience, as we
That's
have
a
the short analysis, right?
wh-
Similarly, what sort of different techniques you have for skill gap analysis?
yeah, great question. So I think on the front end, it's really about identifying a purpose. When I very first started a few weeks ago, when I started to think about what opportunities I would like to start applying to and moving into, um, I created my own exercise to identify my purpose, my values, what is going to resonate 100% with me and what I'm looking for now and in the future. That drove every decision I've made in the last several weeks, just doing that exercise. From there, I was able to identify companies I was interested in and positions or job titles I was interested in. So, specific for that gap analysis, I opened up about 5 different job applications that 100% resonate with exactly what I'm looking for now and in the future. Um, and I just made a list. What are the soft skills that I have? It's actually on this, little document that I created. So, 3 columns. What are the skills that I have? Soft skills. What are the technical skills I already possess? And then what are the skills that I still need to fill to move into these types of roles?
Good. Okay, that sounds good. So, okay, let's dive into today's topic, that strategizing our job as a project. It's equally important as a project. Now, before we kick off, so first off, let's kick off with your unique approach to job search. Yeah. So, why don't you explain us something about your strategy, and did you set anything specific goal for yourself or the timelines for the job search?
Yeah, I did. And that's something I would really recommend doing on the front end. So, again, I transitioned careers. I took the PMP because I came from non-technical background where I created all of my own tools, my own processes, and I wanted to know what are the industry standards. So, if I look retrospectively, if I look back at all the projects I managed, what tools could I have utilized to make that project better? So I just took the PMP initially to start to, fill any skill gaps that I had just industry wise. Um, in careers, your job search is an awesome opportunity if you to really start a project, right? You can use a project management software and you can you can actually create a project plan off of your job search. So that's what I did. Again, I did my exercise first where I kind of assessed, what am I looking for? What are my values? What's my purpose? If you've ever managed a project and it's unclear at the very beginning what the purpose or what the value is or why you are doing that project, it's going to be unsuccessful. Um, so taking a step back, even if you've been 6 months looking for a job, take a step back and evaluate, what is my purpose? What is my why? Why am I doing this and what do I want? That'll give you some more clarity moving forward. Um, and then I really analyzed the risk, right? Like spoke with my partner and we were like, okay, how long, like, what's our financial situation? How long can I look for a job that meets 100% of my criteria before I need to start saying, okay, maybe I don't need XYZ, and I start settling a little more. So we really set those like financial parameters on the front end. Um, and then I identified some industries I wanted to work in, like the topical skills, right? I came from nonprofits and social work. So diversity and inclusion, sustainability, like anything that's mission driven is really important to me. So identifying that, not necessarily I want to work in one industry, but what are some of the purposes at different companies and do you resonate with those? Um, yeah, so I just essentially before I started jumping in, I did all of my planning just like you would in a real project, risk included. And then I put some metrics, I put metrics out there. Um, and then I just started acting, executing my plan.
So here, one important thing coming to my mind is, being staying consistent. That's a very big problem for everyone. Now you are on a mission to get a job. However, you have to do a lot of things. You have to learn new skills. You have to consistently apply for job, and you have to be in the market. You have to update your resume for each of the new job descriptions that you see on the LinkedIn portal or job portals. Now, given all of this, you have to deal with your personal problems as well. Right? Now, given all this, how can somebody be so consistent? What's the strategy? So, what's your thought in this? What guidance you give to our audience that they should follow to be consistent in terms of they?
Yeah, that's a great question. 6 months ago, I was also looking for a job. I was in an education company and I wanted to switch to a tech company. So, I've used two different strategies. There's the person that is working and they're looking for new work, and there's the person that's not working, which is me right now, and I'm looking for new work. So I think, regardless, as far as making sure you maintain consistency, you have to do two things. One, identify your supports. You need accountability partners, you need mentors, you need people that are going to help support you when it's good, you have things to celebrate, and when it's bad and it's challenging. So just like going back to this being a project, make a stakeholder register. Who are all of your like human resources that you can lean on in good and bad times? And then make a communication plan. How are you going to maintain contact with them? And then make an engagement plan. What does your actual engagement
Yes.
look like with each of those people? So literally planning it like a project. And then the other piece to that is project managers have to be organized and they have to time block. So you have to look at, just like a work breakdown structure, right? Here's all the things that I have to do. How am I going to, bandwidth wise, what do I have every day to do, XYZ things? Maybe Monday I take an hour or two and I upskill. Tuesday I take an hour or two and I network. Wednesday I apply to jobs. So really, if you're working, making sure that you're not putting too much pressure on yourself and you're looking realistically at your mental bandwidth and blocking time to accomplish your goals. If you're not working, do the same thing. I just was doing Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So as if I was doing a full time job, that's what I have been using. That's the time I've been using to kind of fit everything.
Brilliant, brilliant one. So while you were saying some, just explaining this one, I thought came to my mind is be kind to yourself. You know, this is very tough situation you are going through. You have to deal with lot of rejection. You situation will be there. You will have multiple offers to choose from. You know, but when we are dealing with multiple rejections, that time probably lack of understanding or lack of education or lack of maturity, we become so hard to ourselves, right? And in that situation, what would your suggestion to stay calm and love yourself and not to so hard, right? So
Yeah.
what would be your suggestion?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Again, I'm going to say, let's go back to who are your supports. Go back to that register and be like, all right, my mentor is really good at giving me a pep talk. Um, my partner knows how to cheer me up, even if it's just, a little snack or we watch TV or, whatever. So identify your people. Who are the people that are going to build you up and help you get your mindset right? Um, and then same thing as before, where like your time blocking. I think you really need to make sure that you're time blocking to do self-care activities. I'm really big into self-care and making sure that your mindset is where it needs to be. So, yeah, just fill your space with the people that will cheer you up and the activities that will cheer you up, because the industry is really competitive. And everyone's getting rejections. You, me, we're all in the same boat there. So, um, yeah, that would be my
No,
suggestion.
that's brilliant tradition. So I would like to go back to a point that we discussed now, is choosing the right opportunity. Right, in this competitive market, we'll have to go through a lot of job opportunities. Right, we have to verify, scrutinize each and everything according to our skill set, our interest, or our requirement. Right, during this process, what are the different criteria you set for yourself, and what are some of the common criteria people should look after? It's not about money, it's not about always work culture or work environment or handsome salary, right? Apart from that, there's something. So, according to you, what are some common other consideration people should have?
Yeah, great question. So I have a mentor that I met with about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and she asked me a
Mhm.
question, and it was, what's important to you, mission, money, or both? And I thought that was the most brilliant thing ever, because I came from, again, nonprofits where I was making a very low salary. I could not live the life that I wanted. I couldn't travel. I couldn't, afford to take care of my family, like, very basic things that as humans we should want. And I couldn't afford that. And so I took that and I thought about it and I said, okay, mission, money, or both. And for me, it came down to setting like salary expectations. If I'm going to take a job that's mission, it's going to be in this salary range. If I'm going to take a job that's money, it's going to be in this salary range. And if I'm going to do something that's both, it's going to be in this salary range. So, setting those expectations, mission, money, or both, setting your salary ranges for all three. And then the other things that I was thinking about are really just like benefits packages, right? Do I get PTO where I can actually enjoy time with my family? Do I get, which we have to worry about here in the States, like the healthcare benefits? Are those what I need, what my family needs? And then moving that further, it's really, what is the culture of this company? Am I going to get supported by leaders in the way that I need to grow? Do they promote within or do they hire externally? Is the company growing, and what is the company's goal in the next 3 to 5 years? Does that align with my goals? Um, so again, that goes back to my very first exercise, is really identifying all of these things before you even get started. So you're aligning your actions and what jobs you're applying to what you identified for what your needs are on the front end.
That's great. That's great. And just when we were starting, you mentioned one point about networking. So always we emphasize networking is the key. So, how has networking helped you in your job search? So, can you share some networking tips that worked for you with the audience?
Absolutely. Yeah. So networking is the only reason that I am where I am. And I'm not saying it's the only reason that everyone is where they are. Some people apply to jobs and they get that job. For me, every position that I've received in a project management capacity has been because I'm building a network on LinkedIn. I'm creating content so people can see my value and my personality and my brand. And then, yeah, it's really, to me, it just comes down to referrals. So, some strategies that I would say: connect with people who, this is twofold, connect with people who hold the job titles that you would like to hold. Send them a connection request. Don't ask them to send you a connection request. You take that initiative. Um, Send them a message that is tailored. So
Correct.
don't just send the same template. Hey, thanks for connecting. That's going to be meaningless. Make it meaningful. Um, and offer yourself and your value to that person so you can help each other. Those are going to be the most meaningful connections. I've gotten a lot of messages saying, "Hey, it'll be the very first message and they'll say, "Hey, can you review my resume?" I don't know you and I've never spoken to you, but you're asking me for something. To me, that's a little bit of a turnoff. So have a real
Correct.
conversation. Hey, I noticed your LinkedIn profile. You have these skills. I'd love to talk about them and see how we can help each other. Um, yeah, send the request first. Um, make it a mutual, reciprocative sort of relationship. We can help each other. And then the second piece to that is connect with people who hold job titles that you would like to hold in the future, or if they have a skill and you're looking to fill that gap, right? A technical skill for me, maybe I'm connecting with more software engineers because I'm not as familiar with engineering. So be really strategic about who you're connecting with and how to make sure you're getting the most out of the platform.
Correct. Yeah, this is brilliant. So just to add on one thing, whenever we are sending requests to anyone, we must work on the tailoring process because the same copy and paste doesn't work. And every time when we ask somebody any help, it has to be very customized way, very engaging way. That's when we build a rapport, and somebody has to connect with ourselves, right? So that's interesting. Thank you. So you mentioned something about resume, right? Why don't we let's go ahead and discuss something about resume now. Every time we discuss, as you mentioned, we have to customize. Customize has to be there for all the job descriptions. So when we look into a job description, we identify certain requirements. So according to that, we have to mold our resume. So what would be your tips for this, particular point, and how can someone customize or tailor their resume to make it stand out in the market?
Yeah, I think first I'll say, again, going back to that very first exercise where you're identifying the job titles that you want and that sort of thing. So, really figuring out what you want on the front end is going to make this part easier. I have one standard resume, I've got a generic resume, and then I make a copy for every job that I'm applying to, but I don't need to tailor it a lot because I'm very focused on a certain job title. So again, identifying on the front end exactly what you want is going to make this a little bit easier. Um, I don't know if anyone wants to look at my website. I have my resume on there as a free digital product. So go download that resume and you can copy it and use it and, just adjust it to be your own. But I think the biggest thing is showing your value. I review resumes and I've reviewed a couple that just have bullet points that say, like, I did this task. And I don't want to be harsh, but I tell those people no one cares that you can do a task. It's how much value are you bringing to this company? So I did this task with this many people and it resulted in this. You have to use those type of metrics to show your value, and that helps hiring managers picture you in that role. Right? They'll say, Sky, I can see you actually doing this job because you're so specific. Um, Something else that I'd say is maybe like put in bold print all of the metrics, because a hiring manager is going to spend about 8 to 10 seconds looking at your resume. And that's not a lot of time. So if you can find ways to like attract their eye to certain data points, that's going to be really helpful.
That's true. That's true. And sometimes, when we apply for multiple job descriptions of the companies, we somewhere we stuck with this resume, right? So it's always helpful. You take time before applying to job. So take time understanding the job description and really spend good amount of time to understanding whether this is something you're capable of. And initially when we discuss the gap analysis, try to identify what sort of skills they are looking for, and if you have those or not. If not, do an analysis and identify how much time it will take for you to acquire those skills. If it is something you can over the night, if you can learn or you can manage these things, certainly you can go and apply. That will add more value. Otherwise, it is equal to the rejection at the very initial stage, or the back end. So certainly we have to spend some time understanding and analyzing the JD of any job. That's brilliant. Okay. Now we discuss about project management principles at the very beginning, right? Now we learned about being a project manager. We have skills like managing people, time management, budget, risk, and all those things. So how can you compare these skills to our job search, and how can leverage these skills here in job search?
Yeah. When you're seeking a new opportunity, it's the same exact skills that you need to manage a project. I live on this hill, I'll die on this hill. You have to use the same exact skills. Um, just like you had mentioned, creating a project plan, those timelines, if you can stick to metrics and timelines, and when something is going askew or you're not meeting a certain goal within a threshold, just like on a project, you're adjusting. So let's say if I set a metric that I'm going to connect with 10 people every day, make 10 new connections every day, and I'm only making 5 or 6, but I'm only spending 30 minutes on LinkedIn. Maybe I need to spend an hour to meet that metric. So, really making sure you're setting time at the end of your week to say, okay, what was my plan? Did I meet everything? Did I meet all of my goals? So, time management, um, cost management. Again, like I'm not working, we're living off of my husband's income. So let's set our budget and make sure that we're managing it. Every week we set a goal to spend X amount of dollars. Did we fall within that threshold or above or below? And adjusting as necessary. Stakeholder management. You are never going to finish a project successfully if you don't build relationships with everyone on your project team, with all key stakeholders. It's the same when you're searching for a new opportunity. Um, you could identify 10 different companies you want to work with. Are you maintaining relationships with people at decision makers and otherwise at those companies? So, really, just like taking actual PM principles and applying them all the way through your search.
Great, great. So we often hear this particular phrase that project managers are well at handling or managing unexpected problems or the situations. Now, this is a brilliant mindset. First of all, I would say it's not any technique. It's all about the mindset that we have or the mindset we build as a project manager, right? Now, how could you compare this mindset to deal with the setbacks or demotivation we get during this job rejection or this process? Because it's genuine that we will get a lot of demotivation or the setbacks. So how can we deal with this one?
It's just like we talked about before with making sure that you're identifying the people that are going to lift you up when you're down, and identifying the activities that you need to do when you're down to build yourself back up. I think the other piece here is never let them see you sweat. If you are in an interview and you're talking about how terrible and toxic the culture was at your last company, chances are they're not going to want to take a chance on you, and move forward in that interview process, right? So you could be having a terrible, terrible Wednesday, but you could be doing a really important coffee chat that's going to be pivotal in your success. You just have to keep it, you have to keep it together during those really important calls. So, just like you would on a project, right? If you're having a terrible Wednesday, but you're having a call with a key stakeholder, and that's going to be the only call that makes your project move forward, you better keep it together. So, really being able to identify and kind of self reflect, where am I? Where's my mindset? What do I need to do to pull it together during this conversation or this call, or what do I need to do to move to the next phase or the next activity, and then just doing it. And that's not to say that you can't have bad days, but I think again, planning early on the front end and identifying people that are going to help you in those situations is key. Get some mentors, reach out to me. um, yeah, just make sure that you have those people in place.
Correct. On this note, I would like to ask one thing to you. Spending time with yourself. It is very, very important. During either you are excited, you are happy, you are sad, irrespective of any situation, spending time with yourself at least 20 minutes in a day, it's very, very important. What's your thought on this one? And how do you spend time with yourself when you start your day? What sort of things you use or tools you use? So how do you manage this one? How do you do this one?
Yeah, I love this question because I think that's so important. I agree. Um, and other people do their mornings differently, but I get up with enough time to take a shower, eat breakfast before I have to do anything. I love doing yoga, and so sometimes in the morning I don't have a full hour to do yoga, but just doing 10 minutes a day. So really planning my day with enough time to not be stressed in the morning and then have like a little self-care activity. That's how I set myself up.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, now again, circling back to the initial one, you have transitioned a lot in terms of the career roles, non-technical, technical, functional, right? Now, what is the current trend for project management, or I would say, what's the current trend you have noticed in the job opportunities lately? So, can you tell us something about the trends, that you have witnessed recently?
Yeah, I mean, just like, probably some of the people watching, I'm knee deep in these trends myself. So that's a great question. It is a hiring manager's market. You have to go in knowing that. It could have been a couple of years ago, you apply to 10 jobs and all 10 companies reach back out to you. It is very unlikely that that's the case now. That's why networking and relationship building is so important because, um, and I've got stay tuned, I've got some special announcements coming next week, but for my own job search. But 2 weeks ago, I posted an open to work post and I did a bunch of hashtags for visibility. And I received a bunch of like hundreds of people reaching out to me. I interviewed with people before jobs were even posted. I've had numerous interviews. So, really, like the best position that you want to be in is getting thought of for a position instead of being on the end where you're letting the company decide, I have a position open and I'm going to see which 500 people apply to it and I get to pick from there. You should take initiative and jump in and start networking, and people will start thinking of you for positions. So have your LinkedIn updated, have your resume updated, really make sure it's compelling. But then again, it just goes back to the networking, I think, is key here with the way that the market is right now.
Correct. Now, let's say it'll be very straightforward questions. Let's say I am an entry level project manager, or I'm somebody who's working in a different field. Now I'm in a research and kind of R&D process for my own job search. When being in this situation, when I'll ask you, hey Sky, what are the certain skills from the soft skills as well as the technical side that will help me to get into a project management role. So, how would you suggest? What are the two lists you will give to our audience from the soft skills as well as the technical skills?
Yeah. Communication, relationship building. So I'll start with soft skills. Um, Communication, relationship building, problem solving, um, being proactive, and the ability to be reactive, but leaning on proactiveness, organization, time management, those type things. On the technical skill side, I think it depends on what type of project manager you're looking to be. Are you looking to be more functional and process oriented? If so, I would say analytical skills, right? If you know Excel really well or SQL and you can gather, wrangle data and, visualize and communicate it, you need, as a PM, you need to have some data skills. Um, Project management software and tools, I would learn probably two of them, right? Asana is a big one. Microsoft Projects is a big one. If you can learn, a couple of PM tools, you don't necessarily need to know the one that the company is using because a lot of them are very similar. So you can,
That's correct.
yeah, learn a couple of them, and then before you jump onto that interview, say, "Hey, I've never used this, but I've watched a couple of YouTube videos and I know these other tools." That should be fine as long as you're proving to them that you're filling that skills gap. Um, but if you are looking to be more of a technical project manager, learning more, software development lifecycle, infrastructure, data infrastructures. Yeah, so I guess it really just depends on the type of PM that you're looking to be.
Correct. Correct. Okay. Now, when we were discussing about this journey, certainly you would have come across some challenges, right? There might have some time where you felt so overwhelmed. Right? Could you highlight on some situations you have encountered, where you felt like, oh my god, this is very new for me. How can I deal with this one? And you personally you have strategized to deal with the situation. So how did you do that? Can you
Yeah.
highlight on something on this note?
Yeah, yeah. In my most recent role, I had never worked on technical projects before. The company took a risk on me because they knew that I was proactive, I was a quick learner. So I think if you are applying to jobs where you don't have all of the technical skills or, whatever, that's okay. But I would let them know really heavily, very early on, how motivated you are and what you're doing to fill those gaps. So, um, my most recent position, it was we were doing WordPress websites, redesign, development, and launch. So I knew what I was going into. I asked questions on the front end. I did LinkedIn learning trainings. I met with WordPress developers. I essentially just created a plan for myself to say what specific gaps am I going to fill, and affordability wise, what can I do on the front end before I start the job? And then what can I do while I'm in the job, like networking and interacting internally with developers and those sort of things. So kind of coming up with a plan, a little mini project for yourself to fill those gaps.
That's great. That's fascinating. So one thing comes coming to my mind is staying positive. While you are on your job or given post COVID, we are witnessing a lot of layoffs. Given this whole recession period, now it's very common that people get demotivated because of their personal commitment, the financial commitment that people are going through. Now, how do you suggest to stay positive here? What would be your strategy? Now, can you highlight or list out some of the techniques or things you do which will really help people in their real life to stay positive and consistent what they are doing?
Yeah, yeah, good question. So identifying what success looks like to me. Every day, if I can do one thing, setting tiny milestones, and if I achieve that, shoot, it was a good day. Right? So I think, yeah, what your long term goal is to find a new opportunity that resonates with you 100%. Every day, I'm going to set a tiny milestone, and if I achieve that, it was a good day. So those sort of things. Um, I know a couple other people that are looking for jobs as well, and we have weekly calls to stay motivated and connected with each other. One of my good friends, we have wine Wednesdays, and we just have a glass of wine and we just talk about what we're going through, and that's okay. So, little therapy sessions with those people that I mentioned earlier. And then I think the other thing, which I mentioned again earlier, is setting your day up for success by doing that thing that you need, whether it's a yoga, meditation, actually eating breakfast, whatever you identify as what your need is. Do that in the morning on the front end, and I think that'll make it easier.
Correct. Yeah. And often in project management, we follow a technique called, smart rule in terms of putting things very realistically and to the point. Similarly, how keeping things precisely and very realistic or achievable in terms of meeting the deadline or meeting the goal. How could somebody stay very realistic in terms of job hunting? This is very important, right? Because somebody comes with 5 years of experience and an organization is looking for an experience of a 7+ years of experience with a lot of other things. Now this is where you see lot of job opportunities like this. Now how can someone be very realistic in terms of their job search, and how can they set the expectation with them first, then with the industry? How important it is.
Very, very. That's one of the things that I use. I use SMART goals. Every single action that I have been taking in my experience looking for a new opportunity, I have a metric for that action, because if it's not working, I need to be able to evaluate that and adjust the metric to get better results. That just goes back to being, data driven. And as a project manager, you need to have a data mindset. So, yeah, networking with a certain number of people each week, submitting a certain number of job applications per week, um, setting X amount of hours per week to upskill. Um,
That's very
yeah,
important.
everything.
Yeah. Okay. Now, a very simple question that you have transitioned, from a non-technical to technical in project management. If I ask, where do you see your career heading in the next few years? What is your long-term goal?
Yeah.
And what strategies you have now? Because certainly you, what I have now understood as of now, you have done your research, right? So what goals you have set for you for upcoming few years and where you would like to be?
Yeah, I love this, because I'm so forward thinking myself, so this is, like, my favorite question. Um, I would like to I would like to first start a new project manager role on the front end. I would like to move into a senior level role within the next 12 months, so becoming a senior project manager. And then I really, really, for the last year and a half, I've wanted to start a PMO. So for me, when I was starting my job searching like exercise that I mentioned earlier, I wanted to work at a company that was small enough to where I could see or had leaders that believed in establishing a PMO, because I would like to stand up a PMO at some point in the next 2 to 5 years.
Mhm. So, any specific industries or roles you are excited about particularly?
Yeah.
It's not about roles; it's about industries. Apart from software, do you have any other industries in your mind?
See, I'm not of the mindset where the industry really matters that much. I believe that there are certain industries that I don't want to work in. You know, construction for me is not something that resonates me with me, but other than that, I care more about the mission at the company. So any industry that's working on, safety, diversity, inclusion, um, I believe that if you have the skills to work in any PM role, you can learn the industry if it's something that resonates with your values.
Correct. That's true. That's true. So we always discuss about something very important is retrospective, right? And jotting down the lessons learned. It's very important. So now a question: what lessons learned you have as of now from your current role, your current experience, right? All this transition, and what kind of repository you use to save all those, you know, and how would you apply these lessons learned for your upcoming journey?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a little bit hard for me to talk about because in my last role, my husband and I lived in Florida, and I landed this role, and I thought it was going to be a long term, excellent opportunity. So we sold our house and moved our family to a different state to take this position, and then I was laid off. So I have a lot of
That's
lessons
a huge
learned.
risk, actually.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I had to do a lot of like personal retrospective to see, would I ever do that again? What did I learn from that experience? So I love that you asked this question. The only thing on that in that role that I did not do that I really should have done was communicate with people that worked in that company. So again, going back to networking, to really make sure that that company resonated with me and my goals and what have you. Um, I Had I networked with people in that company, I may not have relocated and I may have waited for the next opportunity. So, um, as far as a repository, I keep a spreadsheet for everything. So I have, all of
You
my
mean personally managers per se?
Yep, exactly. I have all of my opportunities to apply to the next role, kind of listed in a repository. But for me, it was really that networking piece on the front end, and that's what I'm doing heavily this time. So I will know that the culture and the growth within and the opportunities are what I really want to need moving forward.
That's great. So we have covered pretty much most of the things about the project management and your job search and everything. But now we will be moving to some interesting questions. Are you ready for that?
I am ready, I think.
Okay. Now to start with, okay, what is the most adventurous thing you have ever done, and would you do it again?
Did you say adventurous thing?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I am so boring. I'm not adventurous. When I was in when I graduated college, I lived in New York and I had never been on an airplane before. I had never traveled really. Um, I took myself and 2 suitcases and I moved by myself to Florida. That was really adventurous. I left all my family in New York and I was like, why not? I was young. So yeah, I moved to Florida without having been there and never having gotten on a plane before.
Okay, that's
I would
great.
do it again.
So
I would do it
what?
again.
Okay, what's the next city then?
The next city? Oh, I would love to move to Seattle. That's where I was targeting initially.
Okay, that's good. So, what's a fun or interesting fact about you that most people couldn't guess?
Um, my this is gonna probably gross some people out, but my knees are double jointed, and so I can put my foot behind my head, like backwards.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Weird fun fact.
Okay. So, what is that one piece of advice you wish you could give to your younger self?
This is a heartfelt question, huh? I don't know how long anyone here has been, following my journey or anything, but I come from, and this is probably why I moved into social work, but I come from a life heavily, I was like a heavily traumatized kid. So I came from a very unstable household. I would say stick to your guns. You will be okay. Um, Really just trust your gut and keep moving forward because I'm in a much, much better place now.
That's brilliant. That's it's all about have faith, what you are doing, and never doubt yourself and trust yourself first of all, and be kind to yourself. If I would like to add, and that's what I always say to myself, given my family background, my financial stability, my thing. So I never be very rude or harsh to myself. I always stay kind, and I love people doing that same. Okay, the next one, it's not about only PMO, PMP, or the project management. Apart from that, now if you could switch your career for a day, what profession would you try and why?
Yeah, growing up, I always wanted to be a veterinarian, but I didn't think I was smart enough to go to vet school, which is probably still true. But yeah, I would be a veterinarian. I'll help all the little animals.
That's great. That's great. So, do you have a favorite quote or motto that inspired you in your life?
Did you say a favorite? A favorite what?
Quote or motivation line?
I really don't. Yeah, you know what? I think I do. You do you has served me well in my 30s. I think in my 20s, I cared way too much about what people thought about me. I didn't trust my gut, didn't trust my instincts. Now I'm very much you do you, whatever makes you happy and resonates with you.
That's great. That's one of the thing I also believe in. So the other thing is, what's one thing you have in your bucket list, but that you are determined to accomplish? Again, apart from getting into a new role in PMO, setting up a PMO, but apart from that, what's else?
I want to go bucket list, bucket list. I want to travel to Australia and New Zealand. I think that in the next couple of years, we're going to make that happen. So, um, yeah, I don't have children and I don't have them because I want to travel the world. I love everyone that has children. Kudos to y'all. But yeah, really just traveling the world, starting with New Zealand and Australia.
That's a brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the best piece of advice you have received ever, and how has it influenced your life? If anything recently, or during your graduation time or your college time, that would be good.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't want to repeat too much of what I said earlier, but the question, this was not advice, this was a question. Going back to mission, money, or both, everything that I do in life in the last 3 weeks from getting that question has helped me figure out, like, my next steps. Um, yeah, so really just any actions that I'm taking, bringing that back to, does this align with my mission, money, or both kind of mindset and goals?
That's great. That's great. So, what's the place you have visited that left a lasting impression on you, and what made it so special?
Oh, good one. Yeah. So during COVID, my husband and I got married and we took 2 honeymoons. First we went to Hawaii and then we went to Italy and we did 2 weeks and we did pretty much the whole country in Italy. Both were amazing, but I'm gonna have to say Italy because like the southern parts of Italy are gorgeous.
Because of the vibe that the city has.
The water is really, really pretty. The food is delicious. Everything is so fresh. The people are really nice. The cities are really walkable. I'm used to being in the States where you have to drive everywhere, and I don't know. I would move there tomorrow if my husband said yes.
Oh, that's nice. So, do you have a favorite book or a podcast which has inspired you recently? If yes, so what did you take away from it?
Um, yeah, so as far as a podcast, actually, let me look. Um, it's called PMO Strategies. I thought that's what it was called,
Okay.
but I wasn't sure, so I checked. Yeah, it's called PMO Strategies. She's got like 500 episodes. I would definitely go listen to that. It's a lot of like the soft skills and how you can really hone in on those to gain buy-in within your company. So that's been the top of mind podcast for me lately.
Yeah, that's brilliant. If it is available in any of the public channels like YouTube or somewhere, so please post that in the LinkedIn the event comment, so people would take the benefit out of it also.
Yeah, we'll do.
The next one is what's of go-to comfort food or favorite food?
Favorite food?
Yeah.
I'm Italian and I make this really great fried chicken. So it's chicken cutlets. It's like this Italian breadcrumb chicken fried in deliciousness. That's my favorite.
Oh my god. Okay.
It's so good.
Now the last one for the show is if you could have any superpower, right? What would it be and how would you use it?
I think this is so on brand for me, but I think I would do some sort of like healing power. I feel like there's so much toxicity, negativity, so many people hurting. If I could heal everyone, I would.
That's brilliant and so kind of you. That's nice. Okay, with this, I think we are approaching the time now. We'll have 5 minutes. So with this, let's quickly go ahead and see if we have any comments that we need to address here. Andrew, morning superstar sky, great idea. Apply PM techniques to this work construction process. How do you do this? Brilliant. Even if you wanted to do construction PM role, the job requirements often want construction experience and engineering degree. Yeah, that's true. So we have received something called great insights, guy. Thank you. So we
Thank
have
you.
received so many lovely comments.
To
So
the
before,
LinkedIn user that's saying the construction PM roles, I'll challenge that and I'll say, yes, I know a lot of industries say that they require industry experience, but go back to your initial values. Is it okay if I start in a project coordinator role because I really want to gain the construction experience? If construction is your jam, that is your desired industry, then maybe where you realistically start in that industry is more of an entry level. So just have those kind of mindsets and ideas in place for what you're willing to kind of compromise to get to where you want to be.
correct, yeah. So if we have interest which aligns with the future goals or the job description or the next level, certainly we have to tweak something here and there, and we can start from the very beginning. And yeah, that's a brilliant answer. Thank you. Okay, so before we conclude this show, Sky, what the last thing that you would, before we conclude, what would you say to our audience? Like, what would be your go-to strategy for job search, and how would you summarize this one?
Yeah, so to sum everything up, stop applying to hundreds of jobs, y'all, without any sort of um, purpose or values or ideas in mind of what you want. Really take a step back after you listen to this, and say, what exactly do I want? Set some metrics, start networking with your 10 to 15 top companies, and really make it like very specific. It will, again, listen, like pay attention to my LinkedIn next week. I've got some good news coming, and I am proof that this sort of strategy works when you're really specific and identify everything that you want and need on the front end.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. Okay, so thank you so much, Sky. Your brilliant discussion. We have covered a lot of things about the positive things about job search and project management. So thank you so much for your time today. And thanks everyone for your time. We'll meet with a new episode. And till then, goodbye, take care, and we'll meet soon.
Bye,
Thanks,
thank
Sky.
you.
Thanks for your time. Bye bye.